guys, okay, I'm back. Hopefully the mic things are probably fixed, the mic issues. So guys, can you now hear my voice and everything? I hope and everything works. I think it just had, it was a connection issue, and it must have been something on Twitch's end. Oh, we hear you! Oh, good, good, thank you guys. Yeah, I had to restart the stream. Thanks guys so much. So we're back at Oshima Island. I had to restart the stream. Once again, had to restart everything. So guys, we're back here in Oshima Island Airport. So we're gonna go complete the last leg of the trip, last leg of our journey for today. Hey, Inco Costello, good to have you here. So yeah, we had a bit of sound problems a little earlier due to my internet accidentally disconnecting. Hopefully that gets fixed soon. So for our second and final leg of the trip, we're going to visit the iconic mountain, Mount Fuji. We're going to definitely take a few pictures around Fuji and everything. And then from Fuji, we'll be traveling down to the city of Nagoya. We're going to visit this iconic port city and make our way over to Chubu Central International Airport, which is the main international airport for Nagoya. So we're going to visit this beautiful area of 5x5 now. Yep. Glad to see it work now. Everything's back to the way it should. So yeah, I'm very excited for what we're going to be doing for today's stream as well. No worries. So I guess everything should be going back to the way it should be. I think this is going to sound pretty good. Yep, I guess I'm glad that everything now seems to work the way it should. So hopefully things are now back. Now with everything back the way it should, I guess that we can now continue back in our stream again. So let's go ahead and get back to our planes here for today. So we're gonna head back to take off here at Oshima. We're gonna take off from runway 03, so we're gonna go get back to the taxiway. Take off from runway 3. Yep, I think I now got everything set up for the flight. So we're going to go ahead and head back to the runway 03. Our cruising altitude for today's trip is 8,500 feet for our cruise altitude. So hopefully now that everything should be back to normal, let's go ahead and park while we wait for everyone else to come. Let's go. So now that everyone's back, we should go ahead and get things started. everyone to join me up back in the runway. So yeah, let me go ahead and discuss. Let me go ahead and talk about the last two slides again, since my audio thing cut out. First is Oshima Island. This is where we actually were at during this time. Izushima is the Oshima Island. Look, it's an inhabited volcanic island off the coast of Honshu. It's the largest and closest of the outlying islands outside of Tokyo. It's actually a stratovolcano with a basaltic cone dating back to the Pleistocene period. It's last erupted in 1990, and the epicenter of the 1923 Great Kanto earthquake was deep beneath the island. It's a popular site for tourists. As a result, there's a number of ferries that leave near the port of Tokyo, and several flights per day operate here at this airport. It was featured prominently in the movie Return of Godzilla, where the Japanese Self-Defense Force trapped Godzilla into the volcano, and appeared in the sequel Godzilla vs. Biollante. Also, Cinnabar Island for Pokemon was based off this island. So that's a bit about Izushima. I guess we're gonna be ready to get going. Full throttle. We'll be ready to take off here. So we're gonna go up and I'm gonna go ahead and turn on the autopilot switch and the heading. Reduce the trim. I think you guys can definitely recognize what's ahead of us. Yeah, we guys know what's in front of us, right? That is Fiji. Mount Fiji, guys. This legendary mountain is, for most people, when you think of Japanese natural beauty in Japan, you guys think of this mountain here. So what makes Mount Fiji such an iconic island mountain, by the way? Well, its natural beauty is unprecedented here in Japan. But it's more than just a mountain, by the way. It's Japan's highest mountain at 12,389 feet. It's the second highest volcano. It's an island volcano in Asia, behind Mount Kurasini in Sumatra, and the seventh highest peak on an island on planet Earth. You see, this thing is actually still active, believe it or not, because it's an active stratovolcano. It last erupted from 1707 to 1708. And on clear days, you can even see it from Tokyo. Its exceptionally symmetrical cone is commonly used as a cultural icon of Japan, and it's featured in all sorts of art and photography, as well as visited by sightseers and climbers visit here too. It is one of Japan's 3 holy mountains, along with Mount Tate and Mount Haku. As a special place of beauty and one of Japan's historic sites, it's added to the World Heritage List in 2013, and it's now a UNESCO World Heritage Site as well. According to UNESCO, Mount Fuji has inspired artists and poets and has been the object for pilgrimage for centuries. So this place is definitely very iconic. Yes, it's Fuji, not Fiji. Exactly, it's Mount Fuji. So Mount Fuji's history goes pretty much far back, but it became a pretty important Japanese art after 1600, when Edo became capital. But the summit's actually been sacred since ancient time, and therefore was forbidden to women. It wasn't until 1872 when the Japanese government issued an edict allowing women to actually be permitted here. Ancient samurai actually used the base of the mountain as a train area during the times. The shogunate Miyamoto Yorimido held archery contests around this area too. But the first ascent from a foreigner was actually in 1860 by Sir Rutherford Alcock. He ascended the mountain in 8 hours and descended in only 3. His brief narrative in the book The Capital of the Tycoon was the first widely disseminated description of the mountain. And the first non-Japanese woman to ascend it was Sir Harry Parkes. His wife, Lady Fanny Parkes, was the first one to do it in 1867. In a more somber note, in 1966, British Overseas Airways Corporation Flight 911, a Boeing 707, broke into flight and crashed near the Mount Fiji station after departure at Tokyo International, Haneda. All 113 passengers and crew members died due to all the turbulence. Today, Mount Fuji is an international destination for tourism and mountain climbing. In the earlier 20th century, populist educator Frederick Starr did a lot of his lectures on the several ascents of Mount Fuji, 1913, 1919, and 1923, and are still widely known in America during this time. A well-known Japanese saying was that a wise person would climb Mount Fuji once in their lifetime, but only a fool would climb it twice. And it's still very, very popular, even sign as well. So definitely a very historic mountain. Fiji's in the Pacific, exactly. In addition to this as well, in terms of Fuji's history, so geology-wise, definitely one of the more interesting areas. It's located on a triple junction trench where the Amurian plate, Oscar split, and the Philippine Sea plate meets, and those plates form the western part of Japan, eastern part in the peninsula. The main crater is around 780 meters in diameter and 240 meters depth, or 2,560 feet diameter with 790 foot depth. The bottom of the crater is around 430 meters diameter. There's also 4 different phases of volcanic activity in the formation, including Sigkamate, the first phase. As of December 2002, Mount Fuji is active with a low risk of eruption. The last one was in 1707, 1708, the Hoei eruption. but this area was a major part of the venturing too. For one, you can get airport flights from Mount Fuji Shizuoka Airport, which which is located at Romeo Juliet, November. This is the closest international airport to Mount Fuji, and they do all sorts of flights around the world. So if you're an international traveler, you can fly there. And over 300,000 people have climbed Mount Fuji in 2009. The most popular period for a lot of people is July to August, where the weather is warmest. However, climbing from October to May is strongly discouraged because of the high-profile deaths in cold winter. So there's four major routes to the summit. Each have a number of stations. So they are from clockwise starting from the north, Kawaguchio, Tsubashiri, Gotemba, and Fujiyama routes. So climbers usually start at the 5th station as they reach by car, and the summit is the 10th station of each trail. Even though the 5th stations are some of the second highest, the Yoshida route is actually the most popular route because of its large parking area and huts. Even though most climbers do not climb the Tsubashiri Gotemba routes, many descend there because of their ash-covered paths. Also, in addition to this, the 4 routes itself from the foot of the mountain have lots of historical sites, including the Muramama is the oldest route, and Yoshida Street still has many of the old shrines, tea houses, and huts back from the old times. And they get more popular recently and are being restored. And of course, paragliders can actually take off from the vicinity from here for paragliding. If you're like paragliding and all that, you can definitely do it. And there's one last thing about Mount Fuji is culture. You see, in Shinto mythology, Kuninono Kotachi was one of the 2 gods born from Mount Fuji. Something from Marie that arose with the soil when the earth was chaotic, which is Mount Fuji. In ancient times, the mountain was actually worshipped from afar. The Oshima shrine was set up from the foothills to ward off eruptions. And during the Edo period, there was a cult around the mountain during this time, and venerated as a female deity. In Buddhism, believers of the Hokkaido, of the Nichiren Shoshu sect of Buddhism, believe that the mountain grants supernatural protection from Buddhist deities against possible volcanic eruption. And finally, in terms of pop culture, it's featured all sorts of paintings, woodblock prints, music, theater, manga, anime, and even kawaii subculture features Mount Fuji. And before its eruption in 1980, Mount St. Helens was technically known as the Fuji of America. And of course, Mount Taranaki was said to bear a resemblance to it. So that's a bit about Mount Fuji in terms of the mountain here. Traditional climbing at night, see the sunrise is considered essential. Correct. Looks like someone's already landed here at Mount Fuji already. So let's see who's flying with us today. Red Dragon's with us. There's Alec D. Mongo is in the Cessna 310. And I think Costello's going to join us soon. you'll be here in a sec. Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and we're on 8,600 feet. Man, this is cool. See this part of Japan? Definitely a cool area to visit. Sure. There it is, guys. Mount Fuji. PC6. Oh, the boss PC6 Porter. Good pick. Porter's a great play for a journey like this. Hey, Devil Dude. Great to have you here. Great to have you here, Devil Dude. I hope you're doing great yourself. What's wrong with the mic? Nothing's wrong with the mic. I had connection issues earlier today. Apparently my internet disconnected, so I had to reset all the filters. Nothing's wrong with the mic. So, and in fact, I had to redo all my stuff. I tried all sorts of solutions. Something with the Twitch connection thing just didn't happen earlier, so there's that. But man, this is a beautiful trip. Mount Fuji is just, it's amazing in Sim. Oh, is the music on? Yes, the music's on. Oh, yes, my mic settings are dreadful. I have to redo my mic settings again. I guess I now have to redo everything again. I'm really sorry. So I don't remember how I did my settings previously. I need to change it again. I'm really sorry about my mic. It's just, I'm really sorry. I was scrambling trying to find out how to fix the problem. That's what it was. But yeah, beautiful area. Very, very beautiful. Oh, I think I know what it was. Is my mic better now? I had it. I forgot to turn on the monotone setting back on. Is that better now? I have the music on. Is that better now? Weird. I have to redo all these settings again. I'm sorry about that. It was fine earlier. It was just. I had to actually. Okay, I was messing with some stuff because, you see, earlier was my internet was disconnected, so it disabled everything. So I had to actually I had to actually do lots of things. So my apologies to everyone. I'm really sorry about everything. I guess I have to readjust all the settings again. So welcome to Mount Fuji, everyone. Very photogenic mountain. What? The mountains. Fuji-san is a stunner, if you ask me. So earlier today, we visited Tokyo. Massive city. Tokyo, if you thought like New York was big, or London, or Paris, it was nothing compared to the city of Tokyo. It's enormous. So I guess now that makes it more understandable. Beautiful. Beautiful area. You know what's enormous? The area around Hong Kong to Canton. Yes, that's also very urbanized. Yes, that area is also very urbanized. A lot. Absolutely. So there it is, Mount Fuji. I'm not going to get too close to the mountain for obvious reasons. So we're going to go ahead. So Kahari, we're doing this for the Japanese Adventure Achievement, or FS Hub. been 274 degrees. So, after we get done with Fuji, by the way, oh, Kahara, yeah, we're doing the Beauty of Japan achievement for FS Hub. I mean, you've done a few of these achievements yourself, Kahara, so I'm doing one of my own. Let's split it up to 5 weeks. So we're right now, I've already completed legs 1 through 5, and we're now going to leg 6. From Oshima to Nagoya. Now, originally, it was just from here in a straight line through Hamiatsu and all that. However, I did some readjustments with the flight plan so we could fly through Mount Fuji and Nagoya. And I did so for a couple of few liberties, like flying from here through Kyoto and all that. But it's still kept. That's what we're doing here today. I'm just happy that I finally got the auto thing working. So I probably need to do more adjustments. Have a good flight. It's great to have you two guys. Now, if you guys haven't known, Kaharia does stream too. Kaharia's a great friend of my channel. Check out Kaharia. She streams here too. So it's great to have you here, Kaharia. I hope I get to see you soon. Take care, my good friend. Yeah, we're getting to some of the more mountainous parts of the country. This is probably the most mountainous part of Japan. It's going to be a bit of a challenge for something like the little arrow. The little arrow. You can definitely do it. This one wouldn't be nearly as easy if you ask me. So this one's going to be pretty cool. My next part of the slideshow actually is probably the most complicated thing I've done yet. So it's actually going to be the Japanese language. Now this would be one of my main topics for today's stream in terms of Japanese culture and all that. The language. You see, Japanese is quite different from most of the other languages I mentioned on my stream. Now, so Japanese is completely different from the Russian I've talked about back in my Russian stream. But basically, Japanese is an Eastern Asian language spoken by nearly 120 million people, primarily in Japan, where it's the national language. It belongs to the Japonic language family, which consists of all the languages here in Japan. Now, the large portion of the Japanese language is borrowed from the Chinese languages, and loanwords have been very frequent in the modern Japanese, particularly from English roots. It's a lower time language with phonotactics, a pure vowel system, vowel length, and consonant length, and pitch accent as well. Written Japanese still uses a lot of the Chinese character known as kanji. It uses two unique syllabic scripts derived known as hiragana and katakana. Also, Latin script is used in a very limited fashion as well. Now, a bit about Japanese language history. Proto-Japonic is the common ancestor of the Japanese language. It is thought to be brought to Japan by settlers coming from the Korean Peninsula during the mid-4th century BC. However, there wasn't much evidence of the language because writing hasn't been introduced yet in China during this time. And then, during the start of the 5th century AD, the Chinese writing system was imported to Japan, along with Buddhism. Some of the earliest texts were in classical Japanese, and though some were likely intended to be read as Japanese by the Kabuki method as well. The earliest text, the Kojiki, dates back to the 8th century AD and was written entirely in Chinese characters. And eventually the Japanese adopted some of these kanji as well for their own writing system. And some of these fossilizations are still present, like the genitive particle su, like Matsuji, and all that were still here. And then we get to the early Middle Japanese, and this was the basics for the classical Japanese language, which was still used until the 20th century. During this time, the Japanese language went through numerous phonological developments, thanks to a lot of the loanwords from the Chinese language, including distinction between consonant and vowels, palindrome consonants, and consonant clusters and closed syllables. And basically brought in a few like phoneme warbling. U, E, O. And you have all sorts of different languages here. This is the very basics of Japanese. You can go way more in depth in this. And then the late Middle Japanese covers between 1185 and 1600. It derives between the two periods of Japanese history of the Kamakura and Muromachi periods. Later forms of the Middle Japanese were first to be described by non-native sources, by the missionaries that arrived during this time. And some of the first loanwords actually come from the European languages during this time, including pod, bread, and tobacco, both from the Portuguese language during this time. Hey, Uncle B-Sim. I hope you get to join one of my fights. Seriously, thank you, Uncle B-Sim, for following the channel and joining along with the flight. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for today. And I hope to see you on one of my flights soon. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of the day. And finally, we get to the modern Japanese, which is used since the Edo period. During the Edo period, the Edo-era dialect became the standard Japanese language. And since Japan's isolation period was over, the loanwords from Europe increased significantly, especially after 1945, when words borrowed such as German, Portuguese, and English were used. And many English loanwords for technology, especially related to it. For example, Pasocom is personal computer, Interneto, internet, and camera. Due to the large quantity of English loanwords, modern Japanese has developed a distinction between T and T, D and D, with each of the latter found in only the 4 loanwords. So as a result, they had all this. So that's a bit about the Japanese language. So in terms of the phonology as well, so for phonology's sakes, the Japanese language has quite a unique thing about phonology. The Japanese language has 5 vowels, which is the 5 letters, and each of those have different vowels in the front or in the back. So for example, I is a close and front vowel. while A is a central and open vowel, with each one having a short and long version. Elongated vowels are usually denoted with a line over the vowel in Romanji. A repeated vowel character is simply that way. So there's a vowel chart to our, which is the picture here. These are the different vowel charts. Got one. Now, in terms of consonants, there's lots of allophones, which give it a larger inventory of sounds. However, they begin since then been phonetic. For example, the Japanese language up into the first half of the 20th century, the phonetic stage of the T was palatalized and phonetically as T, or chi. This is chi. However, now that T and chi are now distinct, as evidenced by words like Russian-style T and chi, social status. There's also the letter R, which is particularly interesting because the central tap and approximate parts of the words. So there's all sorts of different languages. It might be pronounced as and the nasal parts are pretty important for the phonetic alphabet is the nose and all that. The following Japanese includes a different pitch accent, which is not represented by writing. Chopsticks and grapes, for example, hashi. Hashi, hashi. Kind of different languages as well. Now, the grammar of the Japanese language, grammar, the sentence structure of Japanese language goes by subject, object, and verb, SOV. However, unlike many Indo-European languages like English, German, the only strict rule of word order is that the verb must be placed at the end of the sentence, unlike other languages. This is because the Japanese language sentence elements are marked by particles, which identify their grammatic function. So the basic sentence structure is basically topic and then comment. For example, the Japanese word Kochira wa Tanaka-san desu. It goes like this. Konchira is the topic of the sentence. This is arcade, and then there's the particle wa, and the verb de'eru. Desu is a contradiction of the play form di amarasu. And it's based, and then Tanaka is the person. For example. So basically, here's another example sentence. The wana hana ga nagare. The wana hana ga nagai. Which literally translates to, as for elephants, the nose is long. Basically, the topic is no elephant and hana is no. In Japanese language, the subject or object of a sentence need not be stated if it's obvious from the context. As a result of this permissiveness, there's a tendency to gravitate for brevity. So they tend to eliminate pronouns from the period if they occur from the previous sentence. These are some bit of the grammar choices. There's also lots of nouns. There's also lots of inflection, and conjugation, as there's no grammatical number, gender, or article aspect of the Japanese language. So basically, it can mean multiple things. Like Hito represents people or person. Ki represents trees or trees. It can mean one or multiple things. Verbs are also conjugated to show tenses, past or present tense. Questions have the same structure as affirmative sentences, with the annotation right at the end. There's also negatives that are formed by inflecting the verb. And there's a lot of sorts of sentences as well. But lots of things about the Japanese language. Oh, great big fun you guys always totally went mountain biking in Switzerland. Oh, Switzerland's beautiful. Well, that sounds amazing. And finally, for politeness, Japanese is very extensive and to express a lot of politeness and formality, and it reflects the hierarchical nature of Japanese society. So the language can express different levels of social status. This includes job, age, experience, or even psychological state. the person in lower position is expected to use a polite form of speech, whereas the other person might use a plainer form. Strangers should also speak to each other politely, though Japanese children rarely use it until they're teens. So the difference between honorific and humble speech is pronounced in Japanese language is particularly pronounced. Humble language is when used to talk to oneself or own group, while honorific language is mostly used to describe the interlocutor in their group. For example, the san suffix, which includes Mr., Mrs., Miss, or MX, is an example of honorific language. So, two cats san means Mr. Two Cats or Mrs. Two Cats. It is not used to talk about oneself or when talking about someone from one's company, for example. But it talks about the in-group superior and their actions. Also, most nouns in the Japanese language can be made polite with additional o or go as a prefix. And they usually employ politeness as a lack of familiarity about that. They use polite speeches for new acquaintances, and as the relationship gets more intimate, they no longer use them. And it's used regardless of age, social class, or definitely very interesting about grammar. Now, there's three main sources of words in the language: Yamato, Kubota, Wago, Congo, and Yaragayo. And all these are different languages as well. Gagaro uses language from European languages. Wago is based on like Chinese words taken. And as a result, thanks to its language exports, some of these words became very popular in English, like emoji, futon, haiku, judo, kamikaze, wadi, ninja, origami, samurai, sushi, nanami, and tycoon are all based on native Japanese words. So then we get to the Japanese writing system. This is interesting. So the Japanese writing system is based on the kanji. It uses a combination of the logographic kanji, which is Chinese characters, but taken from Japanese, and symbolic kana. The kana itself consists of a pair of syllabaries, written symbols, hiragana used for native or naturalized Japanese words, and katakana for formal words. Almost all written Japanese sentences contain a mixture of these kanji and kana. Because of this mixture of scripts and also a large inventory of characters, it is considered to be one of the most difficult and complicated writing systems in current use today. There are several thousand of these characters used in regular use, most originating from the traditional Chinese characters. Others made in Japan are referred to as Japanese kanji. Each character has its own intrinsic meaning, range of meaning, and more than one pronunciation. Japanese and primary school students are required to learn 2,136 Joyo kanji as of 2010. Basically, Joyo kanji is basically an official guide to all the characters. However, the total number of kanji is well over 50,000 of them. 50,000 kanji with their own symbols. To put this in context, the English alphabet, by the way, which we use, is only 26 letters. That's our writing system. For the Japanese, they have to learn 50,000 of them. It's pretty crazy. Now, in modern Japanese terms, the hiragana and katakana syllabaries contain 46 basic characters, or 71 if you add the diacritics. With one or two minor exceptions, each different sound in Japanese language corresponds to one character in each of the syllabaries. Unlike kanji, those characters are sounds only. However, texts without kanji are really rare. Most are either children's book or early electronics. Also, the modern Japanese writing system uses initialisms from the Latin alphabet. And Romanized Japanese is the most frequently used by forward students of Japanese have not mastered the common yet. They have all sorts of different writing systems. You have all the different kanji. Yeah, there's a lot. Like, you basically have kanji and all sorts of different nouns. Like, river has its own symbol. Or school, for example, has its own kanji symbol. The syllables, verbs, and adjectives have their own kanji as well. Personal names have too, like the city Tokyo and place names have kanji like Tokyo or Naka. And it's crazy how complicated the Japanese writing system. You have to learn thousands of kanji to do the writing system. Like, if you thought English was tough, this is not for Japanese. It's a very difficult language, fully mastered. And then we get to the Romanization of the Japanese language. Now Romanization has been around the Japanese language for quite some time. It's been that way for the past 100 years or so. You see, Japanese was normally written with the logograms and all that, the kanji scripts. Oh, who was this? Oh, Booms1 has just followed. Booms1, thank you so much for the follow. I hope you're doing well today. So welcome. It's great to have you here. 394. We're only 6 away from 400, guys. It's pretty awesome. But yeah, we're flying to Nagoya today, and we're going to get our way to ending. I'm just teaching a bit of Japanese, a bit of the basics of the Japanese language. So it's basically known as Romanji. Romanized Japanese is widely used in any context where Japanese is targeted at non-Japanese speakers who cannot read kanji or kana, such as names on street signs or passports in dictionaries and more. It's also used to transliterate Japanese terms in text written in English, like linguistics, literature, history, and culture. And there's several different romanization systems. 3 main ones are the Hepburn romanization, the most widely used, 1867, the Kunrei Shiki romanization, and the Nihon Shiki romanization. All Japanese who attended elementary school since World War II have been taught and read and write Romanized Japanese. Therefore, almost all Japanese can read and write Japanese by using Romanji. However, extremely rare in Japan to use it to write Japanese, except as an input tool on a computer, and most Japanese are comfortable in reading kanji or kana. But yeah, it was, in fact, the earliest known romanization of it actually came from the Portuguese around 1548 by Japanese Catholic named Anjiro. And the main reason for this was to help convert some of the Japanese from Shinto to Roman Catholic during this time. And they actually had to change a few of the languages. Now, during the Meiji era, some scholars believe that they have actually advocated replacing the writing system with Romanji. And the outgrowth of that was the Nihon Shiki movement. And there's some interesting things about romanization. So in addition to standard systems, there's also many variations of romanization. There are all sorts of different vowels. For example, O is O. Then we have O, which is GSL, and then O. Let's talk about some pretty famous words for each of them. So some examples of words for the romanization system. In English, we have Mount Fuji. Now, in the Hepburn romanization, it's known as Fuji-san. But if you do Kunrei Shiki, it's Fujian. And that's also the same case for Nihon as well, Fujian. T is in Hepburn Osha. And then in Kunrei and Nihon is Ota. Governor is Fiji. And then from Kunrei and Nihon is Fiji. So basically all these different romanization stuff. So yeah, it's a Japanese is extremely complicated. It's an extremely complicated language. It will take you a long time to learn. And then we have some example words in the Japanese language. So here's some of the examples of Japanese words that you might want to need to learn a little bit. For example, when you want to say hello to someone, you say the word konnichiwa. Konnichiwa, hello. And then good morning. Ohayu gozaimasu. Good morning. And then what's your name is translated to Name wa nan desu ka. What's your name? Basically, there's that. And then next part is thank you. It's translated to Japanese as arigato gozaimasu. Arigato gozaimasu. Thank you. And then we get to I'm sorry, excuse me. There's two actual translation. First is sumimasen is technically is excuse me. It's more informal. So it's sumimasen. I'm sorry, excuse me. And then for a more formal one, you're truly sorry, is gomen nasai. Gomen nasai. Just like that. And there's finally 3 more words we gotta talk about. First is going to be yes, which is hi. Yes. And then li. Li is no. And finally, jamata is well, see ya. Means you're gonna be seeing them again. So jamata. So yeah, this is the basics of the Japanese language, guys. I think it'd be a good time to start descending. I'm going to go ahead and multiple. And I'm going to go ahead and reduce engine power. We're going to go ahead and descend to around 1,500 feet. Or we're going to start our descent. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed a bit of the Japanese lesson. It's the basics. I'm not going to teach you everything. I'm not that knowledgeable. But it will give you a good basics of how to learn the languages. But yeah, we have Switzerland, we have Castella, Alec D, Mongo with us today. There's Red Dragon back there. Yeah, I want to thank you guys for coming along today. And for being patient with me. I was trying to solve the internet thing issue. So definitely some important stuff. So there's definitely some news that's been released so far. So in terms of MSFS add-on news, so Aerosoft Simple Traffic just came out a little while ago, which basically is their new Simple Traffic stuff, which is basically they add a lot more bottles and stuff similar to AIG. But it's also coming. It also comes for Xbox too, I believe. But the big one is Sim Update 10 just released its beta patch notes, which is pretty crazy. They include a lot of DX12 improvements. They actually allow DLS now as an anti-aliasing tool. They fixed a lot of the bush trip activities. They also, here's a pretty big change. You know the NXI, the G1000 in the from the default planes, like your Cessna 172 G1000. Well, guess what? That's now been updated. The G1000 NXI is now the default, which means you have all, it's basically the working title NXI, but they now make it nearly foolproof, which includes VNAV, procedure turns, holds, arc legs, visual approaches, autopilot modes, and much more. Even more in-depth autopilot, which is going to be great. They also now added low power mode for PC, introduced the power consumption of the sim. And oh yeah, here's another big news for all you mod makers out there. So you know the encryption for the premium deluxe planes and the premium and deluxe planes? Well, the encryption has been now removed, so you can now mod the planes now, which means the 787 can be modded. I bet there'll be some freeware one wanting to make the 787 even more moddable. Or the Cirrus SR-22, that's going to be great to mod. Or the Citation Longitude, which is going to be great to mod. There's also a new package ordering system too. There's also lots of stability improvements, with crash and all that stuff fixed, including one for Xbox as well to make it more stable. They did some nav improvements with the new Gruniski has followed the channel. Gruniski, good to have you here. By the way, guys, Gruniski, he's the one who made on Foxtrot stream. He made a really cool scenery. And it was based off the 1930s Rocketeer movie. Awesome. That was an amazing scenery, Gruniski. This was your first scenery, and you absolutely nailed it. I loved it. I may have to show it off at some point on stream. Pretty cool stuff. But you're now following 395 followers. We're only 5 away from 400. That's going to be absolutely incredible growth for the channel. Amazing. 3. So I'm glad that you're here. So we're now about to head to the city of Nagoya. So about the city of Nagoya, so Nagoya, Japan is very interesting. It's actually the largest city in the Chubu region. It's the 4th most populous city in Japan and the 3rd most populous urban area. It was around since 1610 when the warlord Tokugawa Ieyasu, the retainer of the Oda Nobunaga, one of the most famous figures in Japanese history, moved the capital of the province to Nagoya. It's since now been a major industrial and transport city of Japan. Some of its most famous landmarks of the city, and they include some very iconic landmarks. They include the absolutely incredible the Atsuya Shrine, the Higashima Zoo and Botanical Gardens, the Port of Nagoya Public Aquarium, which is the largest tank capacity of any aquarium in Japan, the famous Nagoya Castle can be found here, and the Nagoya TV Tower, one of the oldest ones in Japan. It's also the headquarters of other companies like Lexus and Toyota Tsusho Group. Now, it was also impacted during World War II by the U.S. bombing raids as well. After the war, it diversified its economy, and the Takano Shinkansen was built, connecting Tokyo and Osaka through the convergence of Nagoya. It's home to a pretty big automotive industry. It's actually the main industry here is automotive, as it's home to Lexus, which is Toyota's luxury brand. Along with other stuff, including Toyota Industries have headquarters here near it, along with Mitsubishi Motors having an R&D division. Also, aviation industry is important here, thanks to the fact that the 86M0 was built here. It continues with the Mitsubishi Aircraft Corporation's headquarters at Nagoya's airfield. including the brand new Mitsubishi regional jet, which is going to be built here, and they're currently still trying to build this thing back to the way it should. It's also got a long tradition in ceramics, as Japanese pottery and porcelain has a long history here due to the clay. You see all sorts of ceramics being built, along with technologies. The main airport here is the one we're visiting, Chubu Centre International, which is the main airport we're visiting. There's also Nagoya Station, the world's largest train station by floor areas, actually Nagoya. And it's currently, as a lot of culture, as a train city in the most important house of the Tokugawa clan is here. So lots of culture. There's festivals around here, including the June Atsas Festival, home to many museums. And of course cuisine too. There's quite a few foods for its own local cuisine, which we'll talk more about cuisine next week. And of course, in pop culture, in fact, the world premiere for the first Godzilla movie was actually here in Nagoya in 1954. And the city, especially the castle, was featured in 2 other Godzilla movies. The 1964 movie Mothra vs. Godzilla, and the 1992 Godzilla vs. Mothra. It was also featured in the monster movie Gamera vs. Gaios in 1967, and it was actually Mr. Baseball in 1992 was actually filmed here, starring Tom Selleck. So yeah, that's a bit about Nagoya as well. Lots of a really cool city, and it has a lot of really cool stuff. So there is Nagoya Airport, Romeo Juliet, November Alpha. So there's Nagoya Airport. That's not where we're visiting here today. We're actually visiting Chubu Centre Airport. We're actually visiting that one today. But this is the other airport here in Nagoya, and Nagawa. So we're gonna go ahead and turn left. Once we get near here, we're going to turn left. 202 degrees, so we're going to go ahead and turn. So welcome to Nagoya. Turn left. So yeah, our airport should be around to our left. So finally, our final stop would be at Centre Airport. Let's go over our final stop. So this is Chubu Centre International Airport, Romeo Juliet Golf Golf, an international airport. It was built on the artificial island of Ice Bay. It is classified as a first-class airport and is the main international gateway to the central region of Japan, known as Chubu. 10.2 million people visited the airport in 2015, making it the 8th busiest airport in Japan. Over 208,000 tons of cargo moved here in 2015. It is primarily used as a hub for All Nippon Airways. They do all sorts of flights throughout Japan, but also around the world. People fly around in this airport too. At least some of the most important flights from around the world. Some international flights include Detroit, Frankfurt, Germany, Singapore, Bangkok, Ho Chi Minh City, Hanoi, Hong Kong, Manila, Shanghai, and Beijing are at least examples of international flights into the city of Nagoya from this airport. But in addition to this as well, other airlines actually do make their flights here to the airport. as well. Previously, before the pandemic, there's Finnair flew here. Etihad Airways flew from Abu Dhabi. Philippine Airlines with Hansa. Thai Airways. Basically, a lot of airlines do make their flights from here. So yeah, that's going to be the end of our slideshow for today. So yeah, I think we've about reached the end of our stream. We're just going to still descend. The airport, I see the lights here. Alright, let's go ahead and get back to the altitude hold. We're going to hold the altitude at 2,000 feet. There's something I do want to check. Let me go check something. Or predict. Oh, the bot's not working. Okay, let me go ahead and. Bot is now enabled. Yeah, the bots, I re-enabled the bot, so Devil Dude, go ahead and put it again if you need to. Okay guys, after this flight, so here's the plans for the next week. We'll be doing week 4 of the Japanese city tour. So we'll be headed our way to Kyoto, Osaka, and Kobe, along with visiting Okayama, and landing here in Fukuyama into Hiroshima Airport. That would be week number 4. And then afterwards, we only have one more week left. I mean, we're only 2 weeks until we get done, guys. This has been amazing. We only got 2 more weeks of the Japan tour. Man, this is just great. So yeah, we're about to reach our end. Let's see who would be on. So yeah, there's the airport. Right over here is the airport. It's literally built on a reclaimed island. Pretty cool. Like I said back when we visited Hanada, it's a theme for a lot of the Japanese airports to build on reclaimed land. But this is also a pretty recent airport, only in 2005. Yeah, I hope you guys, I want to ask you guys in the chat, I hope you guys are having plans for the rest of the weekend. I guess maybe for the rest of the day, trying to plan out what my sounds maybe, and trying to improve them. Hopefully I'll get the sounds right again for Wednesday stream. So, I guess it may be time to finally disengage the autopilot and get prepared to land. So we're going to go land on runway 18. So nicely done, everyone. Just gonna find a taxi and park. Made our way to Chibu. Welcome to Nagoya. Or Nagoya, I mean. Yep, and leg number 6 is now in the back. So we're gonna find a good landing spot. I know this is technically cargo parking, but it's somewhere to land. I'm gonna park right here. The Mongo is down in the Cessna 310. Nicely done, my friend. I think Switzerland's going to come down soon. So yeah, guys, that's it for today's trip. And we completed leg number 6 of our journey today. So 6 out of the 10 legs. Wow, guys, I can't believe we managed to get through 6 legs now. So we're going to be going ahead and signing off. So some plans for the next couple days or so. We're going to actually we're actually going to be heading for week 7. We're going to complete the next 2 legs. First from Nagoya to Kobe International to Kansai International, through Kyoto, Osaka, and Kobe. And then we'll be heading from there to Okayama and make our next stop at Hiroshima. So basically, Romeo Juliet Golf Golf, Romeo Juliet Bravo Bravo, to Romeo Juliet Oscar Alpha. That would be for Wednesday, and then Sunday will be the City Tour Series would return. Hey, Dryson, first time chat, thank you so much for coming. Thanks for streaming, no problem, my friend. So, I think we're going to raid, someone different. I think we're going to raid, Oh Can Do for today. He raided me before in the last Japanese adventure stream, so I think we're gonna go watch Oh Can Do. And for guys who don't know, very good friend of the stream, awesome bush pilot, really entertaining guy. I think you guys are gonna enjoy him. So guys, thank you so much for coming to today's trip. Sorry about the whole streaming thing earlier, but yeah, we're getting into the stream. Take care, everyone.